Hello and welcome to Valley Viewpoint. What happens to a community treasure when no one is looking after it any longer? I'm going to be talking with Tim Bruner, who's working with a group of citizens who want to see a special place in Walla Walla come back to life. So Tim, it is good to have you on the program once again. We talk about so many different things. I know that for many years you've led out at an Easter sunrise service over at the park. Just so many different things. For years you were producing Scrooge.
Yes.
I mean, one thing after another.
Wonderful
now you have
life.
a special project. Tell us about it.
Well, about a year ago, Dan, a little over a year ago, I have been passing by the Walla Walla Amphitheater, Fort Walla Walla Amphitheater, and actually it's been probably a couple of years as I've just been here in the community and wondering what's going on, what's happening with this place. And so talked with a group of other people, and we just started thinking, you know, I wonder if we could go in there and make a difference. That's what I do. I believe that I'm supposed to be a part of the community, make a difference in the community. I think all of us feel that way. And so it all started to come together when we met with the Parks and Recreation Department, and I said, we'd really like to be able to get in there and make a difference. And they said, we like the idea. Let's make it. So they gave us the keys, and we started to get in there. And when I walked into the place for the very first time, my jaw dropped, because it was like Sleeping Beauty's castle. The blackberries were grown over the entrances. The pokeberry, which I didn't know anything about pokeberry at that time, had basically taken over. The paradise trees had grown up. If you've been there for any of the shows, you know how pristine they made it before the shows. Well, trees were growing up, and it was just a mess. The stage was covered with blackberry bushes. The back lot, graffiti over the whole building, and the seats. The benches are falling out, and some of the walls have fallen down. And so we walked in there, and we all looked at each other, and we said, I believe we can do this. I believe we can do this. And so I went back to the Parks Department, told them, you know, what we thought. He said, can you get us a proposal? We put the proposal together, and it was mentioned, whether it was meant to be mentioned or not, but we were under the understanding that a nonprofit had to be a part of leasing this, which we later learned in a meeting with the city council that we didn't. And so we said, all right, well, here's the church. You know, it's a nonprofit, a group of people who have come together who want to do something with this event.
So we didn't mention that you're, among all these other things, I mean, you've worked with radio, you're a producer of dramatic arts, you're also a pastor.
I'm also a pastor. And as much involved in the community as we are with the feeding program, with the emergency warming shelter, this time being a pastor probably kind of got me in trouble with the city, because they tagged on the fact that we were a religious organization that was wanting to make, you know, a difference in our community, but we were a church wanting to try to do this. And so this is live, so we'll just take this off right now, and we'll turn that down. But it got us to a place where they thought we were a church wanting to do this, and so they tagged on the fact of religious organization. Well, when the community heard this, they were very upset about, well, we don't want a church to run our amphitheater. We don't want. That was never our intention, Dan. That was never our intention. We were a group of people that were coming together that wanted to see a treasure in our community brought back as an event center for theater, for concerts, for...
and it is a treasure. So
it is.
Tell us a little bit about the history of this particular venue.
Started back in about '76. There were a group of people who came together to do Trails West. And these were a group of people who believe, like we believe, that we can do something really special in our community. So they went to Olympia, they raised funds locally, they worked hard, and at the cost of almost $550,000 to build this amphitheater.
Now, this is back in 1976, so $550,000
Oh
then.
my goodness, well over $1 million now
Yes,
to do this.
right.
And so with that happening, I mean, they got matching grants from Olympia. They wanted to do the show Trails West. And so that show happened for 2 years, about 2-3 years, and then the interest of it started to wane for the show.
Sure.
Well, here the amphitheater is going. The people who had the heart for this, I'm not quite sure what happened to them, but it sat open for a year, and then community college picked it up in 1981, and they went from 1981 to 2014, I believe, doing a phenomenal show. I mean, Broadway shows. It's called off-Broadway because nobody gets paid. But so they were doing Broadway quality shows.
Fiddler on the Roof was, I think, the last one.
Yes,
I went to see that.
Yes.
And
My Fair Lady, Wizard
yes.
of Oz, The Unsinkable Molly Brown.
Bye Bye Birdie.
All of these, I am so sorry about this. All of these were just amazing shows that took place, and then in 2014, the college was losing money because they were only doing one show a year, and they had to depend on all of the students. They had to depend on everybody to come together, and so every year they would come in, they'd spruce the theater up, they'd do the show for the summer, and then it would sit. And then the Shakespeare Theater picked it up when the college let it go. And I believe that they did a year, possibly 2 years, and then it sat empty with nothing going on in there.
Oh, but lots was going on. The trees were growing up, the vines were taking over.
Oh yeah, the kids were getting in, the people, the gangs, everybody was enjoying the property, but the community certainly wasn't. And so when we started back, the idea came to us in 2019. We really started in 2020 and got in there. We said, okay, if we're going to do this, this is going to take some money. They had people who told us, you're looking at $500,000 to get this thing back in shape. And I'm a dreamer. I mean, people they would never think we produced a show for 10 years and did it at Cordner Hall. We did Wonderful Life over at WAVA for a couple of years. We, all on our own. We didn't have a company or corporation over us. So we just felt like, I believe we can do this. So we approached some companies, and we put our proposal into the city. We told them that we'd like to lease it, and we'd like to turn it into an event center. Not a church, not a theological seminary,
This is a community center.
It's a community center. And so I had mentioned to one of the directors at the Park and Recreation, I said, when he said, well, we're having a little bit of a snafu with the religious, I said, listen, if this is causing a problem, and this was 6 months ago, we're ready to do an LLC, and we want to call it Fortress LLC. I don't know if you realize or not, but you can't start an LLC as a nonprofit, but you can turn an LLC into a nonprofit. And our accountants and everybody are working on that. But with that, they said, well, no, I think we're okay. I think we're all right. I don't think it would have been really good for us to have been able to transition from the religious aspect. I don't think
so. There was an assumption just because you're a pastor that you can't be anything else. You just can't be a citizen in the community. If this had been an attorney, there probably wouldn't have been any ripples.
Dan, this is what was said to me. It was said, if you weren't doing this as a church, and this is where I said, let's do it as the LLC. If you weren't doing this as a church, you'd already been in there. And I went, what? I said, well, then let's change this. And they said, no, I think we're okay. We think we've found ways that we can let you have full control of it. And so I trusted that, and we went into it, and we had one council meeting after another scheduled, but because of priorities, for the city, we weren't able to meet with them. Well, the word had gotten out and there was a religious organization. So before we went into that council meeting, the community, oh my goodness, the theater community was saying, well, it's a religious organization and they want to do this and want to do that. I was writing text and everything to people and just saying, you know, I don't know how this has got so blown out of proportion. This is not a church trying to open the
So you happen to be a pastor at a church.
Pastor, yeah.
You happen to be a person that is working with this community action group
Right.
that is trying to restore
Yes.
a treasure that our community has missed for the past 7 years.
Danny, we've got companies who are plugged into this, who are doing all of the plumbing. And that means transferring from irrigation water to potable water. We've got roofing companies, bonded, licensed companies who have agreed to do all six roofs over there. We have a structural company who has already done, at the cost of almost $1,500, a structural
analysis?
A whole report that we've gotten that says this is what should be done and this can be, no, this is really good. And I mean, we walked through that and they've come on board with us. We've had the electrical companies go through. This is not just something, and I hope the folks in our community understand this. This is not something that we just said, oh, this would be fun to do, let's go ahead. This is a commitment. And we already have almost $60,000 to $70,000 of time and materials dedicated to this. And to the young man who wants to turn this into an event center, the same as us, we told them, we will work with you, but we want family theater. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't come in and do family theater. We can see it being as a teaching ground. We see it as an area for the art. I love the arts.
Yeah.
I love theater. And people have tagged it, well, he's a pastor, so he wants to preach. You better believe I'd love to bring gospel concerts in, but we want to bring country western concerts in. We want to bring in theater. We want to bring this. It's not sustainable for just one show a year.
Right.
It's just not.
Right.
And so there's a whole plan as far as cost analysis, our operation costs, everything. And when we present again to the council, I was pretty mild because I was shocked when I went through the meeting with them. When I meet again with the council, it's going to be much stronger because I had no idea this was going to go this direction. I just thought they'd say, that's awesome, we've got a group who stepped up. Well, now that people know that we've stepped up, the City Council has now put it out for bid for other groups to put their proposals in. And I wish them the best. I
want to hear more and more about what your vision, you've laid out a little bit. You've talked about having country western concerts and gospel concerts and just a whole spectrum of things that people of various backgrounds in our community would enjoy. But when we come back from our break, I want to hear more about your vision for how the facility would be used and how our community would benefit from that. So, don't go away. We are going to be right back. Hello and welcome back to Valley Viewpoint. If you're just joining us, my guest today is Tim Bruner. He is talking about a wonderful venue at Fort Walla Walla, an amphitheater that has fallen into disrepair. But he and a number of citizens and businesses in the area are doing something about it. Okay, Tim, let's talk about your vision for this facility. We know what it's been. And we've had all kinds of programs there in the past. But what do you see it becoming?
I see it becoming an event center, a destination for people coming to Walla Walla to be able to come to a show, an event, not just, oh, there's something going on over there, but for our tourism, people coming in here. And
so this is potentially a big economic boost to
yes.
the community.
Yes.
So you're going to have events that are going to draw people from all over. They're going to come. They're going to spend the night in the hotels here.
Yep.
They're going to eat at the rrestaurants here. Then they're going to go to the shows here as well.
Right. It's something that people can say, I went to a place where we made memories that have lasted a lifetime, or hope to last a lifetime. And that's what we did with our shows. And every one of our programs, we would say, we love to make memories that will last a lifetime. So in coming in, we don't want to build, as we look at it right now, can it be built upon? Can the bones be built upon? Yes, but we've got to get the bones so that they're strong, the foundation so that it's strong. It has power in that place, 900 amp system in there, and we've gone through that, and it's working. We've got the lighting, obviously, you know, Dan, the ellipticals and all of the PARs and the cans, those are all very heat-driven lamps. Well, they'd have to be changed into LEDs or new LEDs written. I just got a note from a gentleman who is excited about working with us in the sound system. He is a designer here in town, and he says we can design whatever you see this becoming on a 3D CAD program. He says we can turn it, we can twist it, and this is what we need. We need people in our community who have a belief in this property. It's a historic property. It's a beautiful property. I stood down there on that stage, and I sang a few bars to an empty audience, and it's a wonderful feeling that we have the potential to bring this back. Theater groups. I want to work with the theater groups here in town. I really believe that there can be, we have wonderful quality theater. I mean, you know that. The Little Theater, the Powerhouse, Whitman.
Whitman College has a program, Walla Walla University, Walla Walla Community College.
We have such great, and this is a 1,500 seat auditorium or amphitheater. Right now with COVID, we can split it, maybe 750 can get in there. But the things that we're finding out is that the benches are in disrepair. We have to replace benches. Some of the walls have come down. The walls, the log walls have come down. The logs all have to be treated. There's a major investment being put in this. And I want to share with the audience that we're a little church. We're not coming in with a grandiose idea that we as a church can do this. We're coming in as individuals who are saying we believe in our community, much like we believe in a lot of things, Dan, you know my heart, but we believe in our community. I would not have invested so much time and finances in presenting shows. We gave the shows away. Yeah. Those shows we did were...
Let's talk a little bit about the venue and what it needs. So it sounds like the technologies that were cutting edge in 1976 have gone by the wayside, and there's going to be a major investment to get this thing back up to speed.
Right.
I mean, are we talking about now new computerized technologies, different lighting systems?
Yes. Sound system, lighting, everything.
All of this has to come in fresh.
Everything was wired back in the 70s. You had hardwired microphones. There is hardwired line clear to the back of the property. Now everything is wireless. Everything can be done digitally. It's not analog anymore, and so it's a complete renovation of the whole system. The bones of the theater are one thing, but for the quality that we want to present, there's going to have to be a whole revamping of that, and
the infrastructure itself. I mean, you mentioned the benches as one example, but I'm sure there are many other things that have fallen into disrepair. I mean, if we're talking about 7 years, it's outdoors. There's rain, there's intense heat through the summer. the elements are just taking over.
Yeah. Fortunately, the college took the decking off of the stage, but on the center of the stage there was a skeleton of 2x4s. Once we took those off of there, once we took it back to the original cement stage, got all of the underbrush and overbrush and taken off of the stage came back to life. It was like it just came back to life, and we want to keep that stage in there. We want to, so that's why I'm saying the bones are still good. It's just some of the surrounding areas. The roofs are going to have to eventually be done. The watering system is going to have to be changed. We have to have it potable. The electrical, everything looks good. We're not blowing fuses. And we've had an electrical company come in. So our dream for it is, like on the stage, building a backdrop on the stage, a semi-permanent backdrop that can be used for facades for different shows, but also be used for storage, utilizing the back lot. It's got a beautiful cast house on it that, to me, is in beautiful shape, except for all the graffiti that's on it. And so we're looking at the bones right now so that we can build from that, and then add to that, as you were mentioning, with our sound, with our lighting, with the just the elements that are going to make the shows possible.
Now, do you see any other improvements? I'm thinking about just basic things like bathrooms and other customer or client services, food service perhaps. I'm just wondering if you've thought through maybe some of those things taking place as well.
We've walked through every area of this amphitheater, every area. Right now we've examined the bathrooms. They're handicap accessible. Each bathroom has 6 stalls in it. We've been approached by different people to say, well, we may want to change this area, here to be more, but it's handicap accessible right now. The bathrooms are not destroyed. They didn't get in, they didn't break the porcelain, they didn't break the sinks. Everything, and from our company that's doing the plumbing, we have to go in and kind of rebuild the commercial structures of these toilets because they've been dry for so many years. The biggest cost for us right now is changing over to a metering system for the potable water, taking it off the irrigation system, because potable water for washing your hands, potable water for in the kitchen. The kitchen is in great shape. I'm a dreamer, Danny. People would possibly look at this and they would go, oh my goodness, it's going to take so much, and they have.
Well, let's reach out to the other dreamers for just a minute.
Okay.
So there are probably other people that have been saying, boy, that's such a shame that this is just going down the tubes. They may want to help.
Would love it.
How do they get in touch with you if they want to dream together with you about making this venue, once again, one of the drawing cards for Walla Walla?
Right now, I'm gonna kind of put it out there. If I get inundated with calls, I may change it. But they can call 509-520-4355. 509-520-4355. They can also reach me at the church, which is 509-527-3385. We are in the process of having a separate line for the office for Fortress LLC, and we'll have that available here shortly.
Thank you for being with us. And thank you for joining us on Valley Viewpoint. If you have an idea for a future viewpoint, if you'd like to be one of our guests, contact us at bmt.tv. For Viewpoint, I'm Dan Solis.